Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 1 to What If Naruto Had Ice Release, which basically means he's going to have the different, or he's not going to have the abilities of Haku, but he's going to have the same Keke Toda, I think is what it's actually called. So he basically is probably, because I've never actually seen anybody in the Leaf Village who actually has that, so he's going to have to develop his own abilities and different things like that. Like, he's not going to be able to use an existing pretty much ice release ability because there's nobody really to teach him it. So he has to basically do his own things and make his own jutsus slash styles of basically using the jutsu itself. So with that being said, let's jump right into the what if. So as I said, Naruto is basically born with this ability, so people would actually know about him having it, so he doesn't have like some awakening moment when he's like running around the village getting like taunted by people and all of a sudden he massacres them all on accident or something like that. No, he is basically born with this ability, and we're just gonna say people actually know that he can use it. Like, say he froze something really small when he was like really like a toddler kind of age, so they would know he has it, so they tell him this, and they basically, so Naruto knows he has this. He isn't gonna have some like rude awakening moment where he has to like, or he doesn't have to, but like he accidentally kills like 20 different villagers or something like that. Like, nothing like that's gonna happen. He's just born with this, so by the time he's probably around 10, he would actually start training with it and trying to develop different techniques with doing it, but due to him not having the greatest amount of chakra control, it's pretty hard for him to do that, so he doesn't have too many different abilities, but he can do a few different things with his ice, which basically just involves him forming the ice, basically forming it into some type of a bullet, or basically coating his arm with it and punching someone, basically just making it so he has more impact, or like when he punches the person, if they're strong enough, it like shatters the ice and like makes it so they get cut in certain different areas and different things like that. He doesn't have like really advanced abilities like the ice mirrors or anything like that just yet. That's just because he doesn't have the greatest amount of chakra control. So, at the beginning of the series, like I said, Naruto only has a few different abilities. He would still steal the Scroll of Sealing and learn the Shadow Clone technique, so that still happens. So, Naruto basically just has 3 different moves. Or 4 if you include his, basically, physical training and, like, moving around, swinging off of trees and stuff like that. He has the Shadow Clone Jutsu, or yeah, he has the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the Ice Bullet, and I'm just going to call his, basically, wrapping his body parts or his whole body in the ice armor. So that's what the different techniques are going to be called. And now, let's jump into the team selections. So Naruto and Sasuke would actually probably have built up more of a rivalry than they would in the original. This is due to Naruto just being stronger and having a special Keke Toda, so he would actually have a better rivalry with Sasuke due to Sasuke actually seeing him as a fit person to actually be his rival at this point. So they have more of a rivalry, and they actually train a little bit harder. So Naruto's actual like physical body is stronger, and he has a few more techniques, like I said. So Naruto would have that, and Sasuke would actually basically just be his normal self, but have a little bit more refined fire style and a little bit better physical abilities and kunai. Naruto is also better with kunai, I forgot to mention that, and that's really the only change that the two of them have. So they're placed on Team 7, and they meet their team leader, which is Kakashi. After meeting Kakashi, they do their introductions. Naruto's basically stays the same, with him wanting to become the Hokage. Sakura's is still the same, with her liking Sasuke, but she doesn't hate Naruto as much. This is just because Naruto spent more of his time training and doing those different things instead of basically pranking the village and doing that. And this is just because he wanted to get stronger, because he was Sasuke's rival and he wanted to surpass him. So, with that being said, let's go and jump into the bell test. So, bell test would be announced. They'd say not to eat anything in the morning, and they'd listen to this. They'd show up. Kakashi would be late, and then he would explain what the bell test was when he actually arrived there, explaining that there are 2 bells, and that 2 of them could basically pass. Or that's basically the reasoning that they came to. He never actually flat out stated this. He just said, you need to get the bells from me, and that's basically all he explained about it. So Naruto would actually be a little bit smarter than he was in the original because, again, more of a rivalry, which means he would train and study a little bit harder, but he still is overconfident, I guess you could say, in himself. So he would still stand out by Kakashi and not actually go hide. Sasuke and Sakura would think he's a complete idiot at this, and Naruto would still challenge Kakashi head-on, one-on-one. So when the battle begins, Kakashi notes a few things. For one, he sees that Naruto's chakra control is basically being hindered, because Kakashi would know that Naruto is the nine-tailed Jinchuriki and figure that it's probably due to this, and he also notes that Naruto would probably be a lot stronger and have a lot more different techniques if he basically didn't have to worry about basically putting chakra into the actual seal to keep the Nine Tails from getting out. So he notes this and basically just forgets about it for the time being, and notes that Naruto only really has 3 different things that he can do other than throw kunai at him. He has his ice bullet, the ice armor, and the shadow clone jutsu. And all in sync would actually be pretty powerful. Naruto makes 10 shadow clones. They all make ice armor just around their right fist, probably about up to their forearm, and they all charge at Kakashi, launching ice bullets at him as they go. Kakashi blocks and or dodges all of these ice bullets, and he jumps out of the way of most of the oncoming Narutos that are trying to punch him. But a few of them actually manage to jump up in time, and they manage to hit Kakashi a few times. So Kakashi actually takes a little bit of damage, and he's just like, he's actually not bad. He's pretty strong. So Naruto would be charging at Kakashi, kunai in hand with his basically right arm, or one of his arms being coated in the ice, and he would punch Kakashi with this. Kakashi would block the ice with his hand, basically, but then the ice would shatter, and it would cause, basically, Kakashi to get a giant cut going down his right arm. So it's basically, he can still use it, but it's a lot harder to use. And Kakashi would be like, oh, that's an interesting ability that Naruto has. Naruto would coat his entire body in the ice, and he would now charge at Kakashi again. Kakashi would be like, he would realize basically he can't actually like hit Naruto again, otherwise his hand or whatever part of his body he hit him with will get cut up. So he realizes he either has to melt the ice or break it using some other kind of force. So he knows what he's going to do. He runs up and grabs Naruto's arm. Due to the ice not actually being shattered at this point, it doesn't get cut, and Kakashi just lops Naruto towards a tree, shattering all of the ice and basically sending Naruto through a few trees before he actually stops and lands on the ground. Naruto, briefly out of commission, can't really fight anymore, and Sasuke would jump in to try to fight now. So with them basically going at it now with a complete different move set that basically counters Naruto's due to fire and ice kind of a thing, Kakashi would have to basically completely reverse the style of fighting he was using against Naruto's ice to basically counteract Sasuke's fire. This is just because Sasuke's fire is a lot stronger than what it was in the original. Their battle would go fairly normally for about the first few minutes, and Naruto would jump back in, and he would start fighting together with Sasuke. And it's not just kind of like them making rough movements and doing things like that. With the years of training together that they had actually done, they had gained a pretty decent understanding of teamwork and how they could improve on that. And neither of them are really that prideful to the point where they wouldn't want the other to pretty much help them in a battle, and that's just because they think of each other as rivals and friends. So they would jump in together and begin fighting Kakashi, and they'd be doing a much better job. With having rivaling abilities with ice and fire, Kakashi would be having to switch between basically a bunch of different techniques of fending them off all at once. So with him having to do that, he is actually kind of being outclassed here. Sakura would eventually join in the battle too, thinking that she needs to help her beloved Sasuke out, but she wouldn't really do much. And Kakashi would still continue on fighting with Naruto and Sasuke until eventually the time is over. And it's basically night. It's been throughout the day, and they don't have enough time to continue fighting anymore. They're both starving now, and they are like, we didn't even do it. But Kakashi is basically counteracts everything that they're thinking right now and basically tells them that they passed, actually. because the main focus of this was using teamwork. And even though Sakura didn't do much, she actually tried to help them, and she did join in for a little bit, but she wasn't actually powerful enough to actually help, so she kind of just got knocked out by Kakashi pretty quickly. But Naruto and Sasuke had really good teamwork together, and they actually pushed Kakashi fairly far, he says. And and Naruto and Sasuke are like, oh, that's what the point of that was. And they high-five each other, knowing that they did the right thing of basically teaming up instead of letting their pride get to them and not allow them to pretty much fight to their full extent. So they are basically promoted to Genin now, and they begin their D-rank missions. They go really normally, and nothing really changes about them, just because D-rank missions are really boring, and most of them don't really result in anything actually happening. So with that being said, Sasuke and Naruto end up going to Hiruzen, the third Hokage, and they ask for a higher rank mission. Hiruzen grants this grants this request, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you a C rank mission to do this. So during the time that they spent doing their D rank missions, Naruto and Sasuke would still train, and Kakashi would basically tell Naruto that he would have a lot better techniques and abilities if he learned better chakra control. And Naruto takes this into his head, basically, and uses this advice to his advantage, basically trying to gain better understanding of chakra control by doing different things that he's heard of people doing, like basically putting chakra into different parts of their body, like the bottom of their feet, and basically climbing up trees or something like this. So Naruto would actually end up practicing this in between the time of doing his missions and basically going to bed, and he would practice this. He would get a pretty good understanding of tree walking and master it, as well as Sasuke would. Sasuke just does this because he sees that Naruto is training with this, realizing that he could actually get a slight, basically, jump above Sasuke, so Sasuke learns this too. So they both learn tree and water walking in this time, and they continue on with their lives. So after basically meeting at the gate a few days later when their mission, or their C-rank mission, is due for time, they end up leaving with Tazuna. Tazuna doesn't really make any comments about Naruto being an immature little brat that isn't really strong enough to take him anywhere. So Naruto doesn't have that bad first impression of him, basically. So Kakashi notices a puddle. Sasuke and Naruto, while yes, being smarter and stronger, they don't notice this puddle due to them lacking basically battle and any really kind of ninja experience, so they don't notice this. Kakashi would seemingly be killed by the two Chunin brothers, and Naruto and Sasuke would both respectively take out one of the different Chunin brothers without even having to have Kakashi jump in and help them. So they would send them back. They would try questioning them, and they would find out from Tazuna that this is actually should be at least a B or A rank mission, and they are going to have some probably stronger, basically ninja after them. Kakashi, after thinking about it, still decides that they're going to just continue with the mission due to them not really wanting to head back to the village, seeing no point, and thinking that this could be a good test for his 3 students. He decides he's just going to let them continue on. So after continuing on, a mist rolls over, and a giant sword flies overhead. Everybody ducks under it, and Zabuza jumps out onto the other end. So, also, forgot to mention, Naruto gained a few more abilities due to him having better chakra control, basically. So, the abilities are basically I'm going to say he gains 2. One of which is basically the ability to make an ice wall, kind of like the mud wall or something like that Kakashi and Jiraiya know, which is basically just that, but a slightly better version of it due to it. If it is shattered, it would cut and damage the people who broke it. And one other thing that he learned was a different variant of the Shadow Clone, the Ice Clone. So this basically is just a Shadow Clone, but it's made out of ice, so meaning if you destroy it, it shatters and therefore cuts up whatever you destroyed it with. So after the sword flies overhead, Zabuza lands on top of it, and he starts his talk. Kakashi would then begin to fight with Zabuza and would eventually get trapped inside of the, basically, water prison. Naruto and Sasuke would now charge at Zabuza, not really thinking of a strategy at this point, and because, again, they have better teamwork and they think that they can just basically get Zabuza's hand out of it, and it would take them less time than what it did in the original. So they charge now at him, and Zabuza would actually be having a really, really difficult time fending them off with only one hand, while also keeping his hand in the other one. They would really easily manage to take down Zabuza's clone without really having to use any of their actual abilities, basically just cutting it down with a kunai. So now charging at Zabuza, Naruto launches a couple of his ice bullets. And Zabuza would be shocked by this, thinking that Haku was the only one that actually knew of the ice style. So in this brief moment of hesitation by Zabuza, he will definitely learn to regret this, because as he's basically thinking and looking at these ice bullets without actually basically moving out of the way, he loses his focus. And in the shadow of one of the ice bullets, there is another ice bullet. And this ice bullet actually manages to pierce through Zabuza's hand, basically making him he'd reel his hand back in pain, making him basically not have his hand inside of the water prison anymore. Kakashi would basically lift up his headband, revealing his Sharingan, and he would absolutely wreck Zabuza. So Haku would still jump down, and he would throw the Senbon needle at Haku, seemingly killing him and taking him away. So they end up going back to the actual Tazuna's house for a few weeks to let Kakashi basically regain his stamina due to him using the Sharingan. And due to Sasuke and Naruto already knowing tree walking, they don't actually have to learn that. And in the few weeks that they're there, they basically do other things while Sakura does that. So Sasuke just kind of does more things with his fire style, while Naruto basically tries to gain different abilities and hone his existing abilities with his ice style. So some of the different things that they each gain from this is Sasuke gains the ability to basically... It's not like a fire manipulation, but he can basically cloak his body, kind of like how Naruto can cloak his body in the ice, or the Raikage can cloak his body in the actual lightning. Now, he's not actually touching his body at this point with the fire, but it does cause him to overheat, which is basically the weakness of this. Well, yes, it increases his different stats, basically. He basically has a time limit on it, otherwise his body will overheat, kind of like Endeavor from My Hero Academia. Except to a much greater extent due to his body not really having the only thing really defending his body from the fire is basically only his chakra. So he gains that. Naruto, again, he already has the basically ice armor technique. Like Sasuke has the fire armor, is the one thing he gained. And the thing that Naruto actually basically gained from this training is something he calls ice spikes, which basically sends massive spikes of ice coming up from anywhere really within Naruto's vision, or not within his vision, but relatively close to Naruto. He can send ice spikes out of the ground and basically try to impale his enemies, or different things like that. It's basically a variant of his ice wall, I guess, in a way, except it's sharper to a tip, so that you could pierce people with it. So Naruto learns that, and Sasuke learns his fire armor. Not even sure if that's possible, I'm just saying it does. This is complete headcanon, and don't comment that that's not possible, because I'm saying it is, because I don't care anymore. If Naruto gets armor, so can Sasuke. They're rivals now. So you might ask, what did Sakura gain from all of this? Well, basically nothing other than what she... basically tree walking. That's all she really did. She's not really anything special. Just saying. So they would basically end up going to the bridge, and there they'd have their second encounter with Haku and Zabuza. So with this encounter, Sasuke and Naruto would actually both go to challenge Haku right off the bat, both getting trapped inside of the ice mirrors once Haku realizes that Naruto has ice style, and that's actually really strong. So Naruto would look at this and he'd be like, what's this even gonna do? He makes basically igloo out of his ice walls, and he and Sasuke basically just sit inside of it, waiting for Haku to actually manage to shatter it. So Haku would charge at the ice mirrors, or at the ice igloo in the middle now, basically just trying to shatter through it, because he knows that his Sinbon, he doesn't want to actually be able to shatter it, he charges at it with the kunai. Naruto, at that exact moment, basically knowing exactly where Haku was, he weakens the point where Haku was about to basically try to cut and slash through, to the point where Haku would go completely crashing down through it, and then Naruto re-encloses the igloo, and basically he and Sasuke start fighting Haku in an insanely enclosed area. Being pretty easily actually managing to take down Haku due to him not having his ice mirrors to rely on, they actually managed to take down Haku this time. And then this means Kakashi would take down Zabuza by basically throwing his Chidori through Zabuza's heart, and Naruto and Sasuke don't have that moment where Sasuke almost dies and different things like that. Sasuke would actually awaken his Sharingan due to basically needing to see the speed at which Haku was basically going at, and that's about all I can say about that arc. So they'd head back to the village and they'd continue on with their different training until the next thing came up, which is the Chunin exams. So they basically begin the Chunin exams, starting with the written exams, and they pretty easily pass due to them being even more, or a lot smarter than they were in the original. Now the Forest of Death is basically beginning, and during the training, during basically the period between when Naruto and Sasuke returned to the village and when the Chunin exams actually started, they did actually end up learning a few different things. We'll start with Naruto, and Naruto ended up learning the following different abilities. One of the two, basically, that he actually learned is an Ice Dragon. He learned this ability, basically, by copying what Zabuza did and forming his ice into the dragon now. So, after doing that, he does actually end up learning one other thing, basically, which is basically just forming different weapons out of ice, like making a sword or a spear or something like that. So now for the things that Sasuke learns, he basically just learns some basically more powerful fire style techniques, with one being fire style Great Wall, which is basically just a massive wall of fire that it's a wall. There's no really other thing to say it. So Naruto would also have a bigger variant of his ice ball, just basically making it so he can make it absolutely freaking massive due to his insane amounts of chakra. Now, Sasuke did learn one other thing, that being kind of the same thing that Naruto can do, and basically just like shoot out basically spears and swords and different things of fire. He can't actually hold these, obviously. He doesn't have like an immunity to fire or anything like that, but he can like shoot them out in different directions by basically manipulating the shape of the flames and then exerting force onto them, basically. So those are the things he learns. And now with the Forest of Death beginning, I'm gonna leave this part off there. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye.